that. We are on time. Welcome to Monad in the Morning.
It is Thursday, your favorite day of the week, and it is, of course, mine as well. This is Monad in the Morning, episode 15. We are on time today, Jessup. That's pretty good.
Like literally on time by the seconds.
To the second, maybe next week we are on time to the millisecond. Chat, let us know if you can hear us okay. Make sure we don't have any technical issues. We have banger episode.
Nacho says, Jessup, you look so thin. It's been like 5 days.
Hey, man, that's great.
Thank you.
Fitness is very important for sure. Chat, how is our audio sounding? How is the video looking? Let us know.
Are we choppy? Last time there was a little bit of some delay and some choppiness, but we are connected to Ethernet.
We got the hard line this week. The hard line is up and running. So Chaos says we sound perfect. That is good because we have an absolutely jam-packed episode today. We have a great lineup of special guests. We will be joined pretty soon by the legendary cult leader, Bill Mondays, to give a special address to the Monad community. After Bill, we have Port coming on to share an update from the developer community. The DevNads are absolutely cooking on testnet, so pumped to bring Port back and hear from him. And we also have a very special guest live in person towards the end of this episode, so stick around. We'll be bringing on Candace, who leads recruiting here at the Monad Foundation. Candace is an awesome recruiter who's been working in crypto for several years now and has been at Monad Foundation from the very genesis. She has some really awesome perspective for anyone who's looking for a job in crypto, whether that be on the community side of things, whether that be marketing, BD, developer, anything in between. So Candace is going to come join us in a few minutes later on in the show and give some tips and share some experiences to help you get a job in crypto. There is no better industry to work in. So yeah, that will be a ton of fun, and we look forward to that as well. We don't have our normal third co-host with us today. Intern out on official business, but we look forward to having Intern back next week. So hopefully he's in the chat or will be jumping in the chat in a few minutes, but we miss him dearly here in New York.
So yesterday I tweeted, if you're stuck on a private island with anybody, or not a private, but just an abandoned island.
Deserted island?
A deserted island. Private island might be a different choice.
Yeah.
But a deserted island with one person from the Monad community, who would you choose? Who would you choose, Danny?
I commented Limo, and I had a very specific reason. Shout out Limo, repping the community out in Indonesia. Limo actually created this epic wood carving of the Monad logo up there.
That one as well.
Yes, this one for Pipeline over my shoulder. I have my keys on a Pipeline keychain, hand carved out by Limo. And the reason I picked him is, if I was on a deserted island, I would be pretty screwed because I'm not really a survival guy. I wasn't really, raised in the jungle. So I need Limo to help, construct some shelter. Holy cow, I can't even talk this morning. I just think Limo would be a great bet.
He also said he can climb coconut trees, which that's a huge plus.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, but Limo's the obvious choice for me.
Yeah, I chose Bill Monday. Bill spent tons and tons of time swimming in the ocean. I think he did like a year challenge of swimming in the ocean every single day. So that's a plus. And then, with that accent, he's clearly was raised on an island. So.
Oh, true. Yeah, good thoughts. Okay, Bill Monday, kind of a sleeper pick. Chat, we're talking about geolocations here. Comment in the chat where you're tuning in from today. The Monad community is global, that's for sure. But we want to see where you're tuning in from today. And I'm going to run through some updates on the Monad side of things. What's going on with Monad? Testnet chugging along, apps, more and more apps deploy, more and more experiences for the community to get hands-on with. Like I said, we're going to have Port coming on in a little bit to share some updates as to what the DevNads are cooking on chain. But interestingly, earlier this week, Keone, if you don't know him, Monad co-founder, GM here at the Monad Foundation, Keone did an AMA on Twitter, basically put an open CTA out there and said, hey, ask me any questions you have about Monad. And we've got a front run Bill Monday here. He's coming on in a little bit, but he took on the role of intern and he compiled some notes. So we're going to front run Bill Monday and share a little bit of a summary of the notes that he took from Keone's AMA, because it's really, really insightful. There's some cool stuff coming. And it's an awesome opportunity. Here on Monad in the Morning, you get the alpha. You don't just get the news after it's already been broken, but you get a first look at what is upcoming. And what is upcoming? Well, the white paper is coming soon before mainnet. It's not quite done yet. Few things are changing, but most of the architecture is finalized. That sounds very promising because everyone is excited for mainnet for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Also, testnet 2, not really relevant for most users, at least to get hands-on with, but it's something that you probably want to be aware of. It's a parallel testnet. We love parallelisms here at Monad Foundation. It's really designed for battle testing, so it's a separate environment just to further stress test the Monad network and prep out for the crazy activity that we are sure to be seeing on mainnet. So testnet 2, separate environment, but definitely a cool thing to be aware of, as well as some updates on the consensus side, which we've recently talked through a bit on this show, and we've created some videos for the Monad Dev account as well as Pipeline. But some updates on the consensus side of things. So Monad BFT solved the tail forking problem in pipelined consensus mechanisms. You should definitely go check out Category Labs blog post to read a little bit more about that. But Monad BFT consensus is pretty darn cool, pretty darn fast. And the newest update there is RaptorCast. Some pretty cool innovation on that front. We now have 5 key innovations that Monad brings to the EVM. So RaptorCast as part of Monad BFT consensus. Of course, the fully custom built Monad DB, the highly performant database that has been custom built for Monad, as well as parallel execution and asynchronous execution as well. So ton of innovations that Monad is bringing to the EVM to really create the most performant environment possible, and doing so in a way that is globally decentralized as well. Super, super exciting. And then, the database, really can't say enough good things about the custom database. It was, according to James and the engineering team over at Category Labs, the most challenging problem that they've had to solve yet. So looking forward to more updates on that front, but the devs are deving and there is palpable energy as we get closer and closer to mainnet. There have also been some learnings and fixes during testnet. Testnet today is not the same as it was in mid-February when it was first debuted to the world. RPCs are a lot more performant. You may actually notice that firsthand as a user. Speeding up access to all historical data. So for example, if you want all the logs for a block or for a topic, you need to be able to access that data pretty quickly. that may be related to RaptorCast, although that gets a little above my head on the technical side of things. So don't quote me on that, but speeding up access to data, identifying bugs and ways to optimize the environment for performance improvements, as well as validator quality of life, one of my favorite terms. Just some fixes for validators, making things a little bit faster, a little bit performant. That is the name of the game here at Monad, and the performance optimizations will not stop anytime soon. This is a long-term game of continuing to optimize, continuing to iterate, continuing to experiment in real time. Monad will get faster and faster with time. It will get more and more decentralized with time, and that's pretty cool if you ask me.
Do you want to spin the wheel to take a I've
been ripping here. There's a lot of great info, and we got to get through it before Bill Mondays comes on, because we're stealing his thunder live on the air. But yeah, let's get a spin to win going. I don't know. I'm inclined to try something new in terms of how we pick the winners. We've got a full wheel here today, Jessup, and I'm thinking we should do something related to geolocation, because I called that out like in the first couple minutes here. Like, everyone comment their location, where are you tuning in from, and I don't know exactly how we should pick. Do you have any ideas for what we could do
for geolocation?
I
mean, we could think of a place, and then whoever comments the closest to that.
Okay.
But I mean, they already kind of said where they are from, and
yeah,
so
it's
I
hard to
have
do
an idea, so it might feel a little biased.
Okay.
Daddy Abe is tuning in from Earth.
Oh, is anyone tuning in not from Earth? That would be cool. If you're not tuning in from Earth, we will spin the wheel for you, but you do have to provide proof that you are tuning in from, elsewhere.
Did you hear? I think I told you last time, but not on stream, but they're building a hotel in space that's supposed to be done by 2027, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I'd rather put a validator in space. Like, space validator, cool. Space hotel, not that cool to me.
Well, it would be cool to have both, because then you can run transactions like.
Okay, all right. Space validator in the space hotel. I like that. I like that for sure. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, I'm just gonna close my eyes, and I'm gonna whatever shows up on the screen is the winner. All right.
I'm gonna let Jessup take this, spin the wheel. Right. We've got the stream playing outside of this room, and it's a little loud and distracting, so I'm gonna go turn that down.
Cool. I'm gonna close my eyes, and here we go. Ali __ 1995. You are the winner. We are going to wait for Danny to come spin this thing, but congratulations, Ali. Let's go. I believe this is your first win, which is great. I'm glad to see new people winning. Danny. All right, screw it. We're going to spin. This one is for you, Ali. Here we go. A date with G-Van and Small. I can't believe that is still on here, but congratulations, Ali. You won a date with G-Van and Small. So Ollie was our winner. Ollie won a date with G-Van and Small.
I just I heard it in the theater out there. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Ollie's saying can't wait.
Nice. E-date. with GVan and Small. That's one of those where you don't really know exactly what you're signing up for, but you know you got to show up.
All right, I'm marking it down.
Beautiful. Well, we are off and rolling here on episode 15, Monad in the morning, and we have Bill Mondays joining us pretty soon. However, before we get there, to round out on some of the updates from Keone's AMA recently on Twitter, the learnings from testnet. Biggest learning has definitely been around the RPC side of things. The RPC layer experiences several orders of magnitude more traffic than the blockchain itself. So that means that if your blockchain performance is here, your RPC performance needs to be here, or even maybe like here, in order to actually process these transactions and create a smooth UX for the end user. So that's an important thing to note. It is roughly 20 million transactions per day versus 1 billion RPC requests per day. Okay, yeah. So we got to put the other hand like up through the ceiling. That's several orders of magnitude more traffic. So RPC has been a big learning. And like I was saying previously, there's been a ton of optimizations on that front. And really the main takeaway here is that Monad continues to get more and more performant. So if you notice anything that you don't like while using Monad, call it out. Call it out, because if there's engineers that are not already aware, we want to make them aware so that they can continue to make it the best possible experience for you, the user, and maybe you, the dev, as well. That's pretty cool. And yeah, just real quick to round out on some of the notes from the AMA with Keone, some priorities and current focus coming up between now and mainnet. Dev experience, really want ultra low latency access to events by listeners and WebSockets. WebSocket support is something that's been highly anticipated. So I know the dev nads are really excited for that. Raising validator counts to over 1,000. Wow, that's 10x where we're at currently, and closer to 20x from where testnet started. So that's a ton of improvement in terms of global distribution, and we love to see that. We love decentralization. It is extremely important. People don't tend to care about it until there is some sort of event that makes people care about it, and that event is usually bad. So let's not have any more bad events that remind us why decentralization is important. Let's just remember that throughout our day-to-day, because it is quite important. Let's see. Consensus update, new version of Monad BFT, which has the tail fork resistance and faster finality. Gas pricing model is going to be updated. Also, some EIPs will be implemented pretty soon. So ton of work going on behind the scenes, both with the Monad Foundation engineering team and certainly with the Category Labs engineering team working on the core Monad protocol itself. Some of the smartest devs that I've ever met in crypto or out of crypto. So that gives me a lot of excitement, a lot of hope as well. But great AMA with Keone. Love how receptive he is to feedback. We'll have to bring him on the show soon and dive into it in a little more detail.
Yeah, it's always good having Keone on. He tweeted, which is not really something he did, but something else. Bijana and Fish Market Acad, I don't know. Vibe coded 3 games over the weekend in 3 days using multisync, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, some like pretty cool builds. Like shout out to Bijana, Fish Market Acad. Cool stuff for sure.
Yeah, but it's again just goes to show you could just do things, and the fact that like 3 days neither of them have like huge coding experience, I believe. And they just made some cool, fun games. So I think it'd be really cool to see more people playing with these tools and seeing what we turn up.
Yeah, I'm speaking of people playing with tools and seeing what we turn up. There's a new Monad Invaders game built by Gizdumsum and Cajun. Not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but it's really cool. They have a special version. I haven't even showed it to you yet.
No, yeah, I haven't.
Special version of the Space Invaders game that's like all pipeline themed. So you can play as my profile picture. You can pick a couple other characters. You can play as Keone or Port or Gizdumsum, and just a really cool like mini game they spun up and pushed out. I think it was like very recently. I think they just finished it up last night. So you'll probably see that on the timeline pretty soon. But shout out Gizdumsum and Cajun for working on the Monad Invaders game. Pretty cool. You can just do things, and people are just doing things. So love to see that. Hope to see even more of that for sure.
Yeah, you gotta send me the link to that.
Oh, 100%. It's they put up a blog. It's I guess the link is kind of long to read out here on the stream, but the blog is really helpful because it gives a little bit of like a tutorial. But the website that you can play at is www.monadinvaders.xyz. There is also a Twitter account, x.com/monadinvaders. It is also live as a Farcaster mini app. These guys are cooking. Farcaster.xyz, again, /monadinvaders. So check that out. Monad Invaders game. Got some really cool pipeline branding in there. You can play as Danny Pipelines. What could be better?
Yeah. So we have somebody that is spamming, asking for full access roles. Please do not spam. You will get blocked. This is not the place to continuously ask the same thing and copy and paste.
Yeah, it's also like in terms of like, okay, you want the full access role. It's like you're showing up to a party, for example, and you want to get in because it's a cool party and it's in a cool setting, but maybe you didn't know anyone who's hosting the party or attending the party in advance. You just heard about it, and you thought like, hey, maybe I'll drop by and see if I can get in. If you show up to that party and you bang on the door saying, let me in, they're probably going to call the police. But if you show up and you say, hey, I heard about this event. I heard it was really cool. I'm interested because I know so-and-so is going to be here, or I'm interested for whatever reason you're actually interested. Pull up to that newbies chat and just be yourself. You don't need to be breaking down the door and calling the police, which I'm seeing in the chat. They're saying Mike Webb is the police. Mike Webb is definitely the police. I would not want to mess with Mike Webb either. So that's maybe a little helpful tip for anyone who's looking to get full access. It's not hard. It's not designed to keep you out. The only people it's designed to keep out is the ones who are breaking down the door.
Right.
So that was talking full access. Let's see other updates on the Monad side of things. We had docs.monad.xyz. The Monad documentation got a pretty banging update with a new FAQ page. If you have questions, they may have already been asked by other members of the community, and you can go check out that FAQ page to see exactly what has been asked. What are the most common questions that people have on testnet? And if your question is not answered in the FAQ page, Jessup, where should they go?
To the AI helpful piece.
Yes, yeah. To Ask Monad AI, which was built, I believe, by Cookbook. Shout out Cookbook. But there's a really cool AI module on docs.monad.xyz where if you're non-technical like myself and you have questions about the Monad architecture, how Monad's different from other chains, hop in that AI module. Module. I like that. I'm still learning how to talk today, but that's okay. Hop in the AI module at docs.monad.xyz. It is the best place to learn about Monad, whether you're technical and looking for a getting started guide, or whether you're non-technical and you're looking to learn a little bit more about what is Monad, how is Monad different, what is Monad, like why was Monad built, what is it, how does it work.
You can also like test it, ask it to give you analogies or explain it in certain ways. I think that's a cool way of like trying to utilize it to really personalize it for how you can understand the different elements of Monad.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really cool because I think with documentation in general, a lot of people think of it as like a really technical resource, and it certainly is, but now there's a lot of tools in there that help with the accessibility of the information, help you kind of understand that at a basic level. And I've certainly loved playing around with that. Plus the AI module has some little Melandax in there, so that's pretty cool. You get some little AI Melandax helping out with your questions. We also had Intern give a really thoughtful response to a question on Twitter from Jen Aura Queen, shout out Jen, asking what the next step was for Monad Foundation strategy. So I figured I would just summarize a few of his points here because it was a really great and in-depth response. And I think the community would be interested to know, if you haven't already heard or actually read Intern's response. Shout out Intern. We miss him on the stream today. So what is next for Monad Foundation strategy? Well, to back up a little bit, Intern kind of prefaces the answer by saying a lot of people misunderstand a foundation's role in quote unquote leading an ecosystem to be either hand-holding teams or being on the opposite end of the spectrum, completely hands-off. But in reality, like true ecosystem leadership is more nuanced than that. And the core focus for Monad Foundation is to facilitate the use of the Monad protocol, the Monad blockchain, in the interest of helping cultivate a thriving ecosystem. And so Intern kind of first provides that clarity around the role and goals around the foundation. And then he makes a couple predictions as well, which I want to run through real quick. So first prediction, the Monad community will decentralize around individual ecosystem projects, particularly post mainnet. And we've seen this in basically every successful crypto ecosystem to date. So you start with a community that's focused around the core protocol. In this case, it's Monad, and it's an amazing community, as we know. And there's a lot of people that are interested in different aspects of the Monad protocol, but that kind of, for the Monad community, has been the first thing to really rally around. But now the journey becomes a lot more custom. There's a lot more paths forward because there's so many projects building in the ecosystem. Community members have the opportunity to contribute to applications and teams that they really believe in and that they want to use themselves. So have that in mind. That doesn't mean you need to be a core community member or try to be a core community member for every project in the Monad ecosystem, because that is not feasible. But pick some that you like and help them out, help them grow. Do what you do best. Do what you like to do, because Monad community will continue to decentralize around individual ecosystem projects, both pre and most especially post mainnet. Second prediction, teams that leverage Monad's strong self-organizing community to build their own community will grow faster than others. This really kind of goes without saying here, but if you take advantage of, as an ecosystem team, if you take advantage of all this potential energy in the Monad community, all the amazing talent from artists to video creators to yappers on Twitter Spaces, yappers on the timeline, developers in the dev community, and everything in between, you'll have more people bringing value to your project and therefore accelerating your growth. So that one is a no-brainer, but appreciate the community, love the community, respect the community, and lean into the community, it will pay dividends in the long term. Prediction number 3. Founders who realize Monad is the best place to launch apps now will gain exceptional attention and support. That is an extension of prediction 2. If you lean into the community, if you create a great experience for the community, if you create opportunity for the community, then you will be off and rolling like a rocket ship. The interest here is that Monad Foundation will offer, and community will offer, unmatched bootstrapping conditions, from user base to feedback to investments and community support as well. And that is really all leading up to this next phase in ecosystem maturation and the launch of standout products on mainnet, which is obviously the moment we have all been looking forward to, some of us for years at this point. So lot of potential energy. Can't wait to convert that into kinetic energy, the energy of motion. Some projects have already started to do that really well, and there's a ton of opportunity. So I'm excited for that. This is all through the lens of strategy being a long-term vision, not 6 months, not 9 months, not 1 year, but 5 to 10 years plus. Really focused on achieving mass adoption through decentralized scalability. That is what Monad is all about. In terms of like the individual tactics on the strategic side, it's really based on which domino needs to fall next, what needs to happen in order to, again, fuel this longer term 5 to 10 year vision, mass adoption, ecosystem apps gaining a ton of users, a ton of traction, both in crypto and outside the current crypto user base. So all of this is about accelerating the growth of the Monad ecosystem and guiding projects to succeed wherever and however we as a global community can. So that hopefully was a little bit of clarity on the strategy and role and thought behind the Monad Foundation. Looking forward to seeing the community mobilize across more and more ecosystem projects.
I think we should spin. I just got a message from James. He has 2 yayos that he is.
Thank you, James. You are carrying our prizes here, and also our technology here. So shout out, James. Really appreciate that. And let's spin the wheel. Jessup, is our guest queued up?
No,
not yet.
Nope,
okay,
we don't have a guest on here.
Maybe pretty soon. I'll send him a message.
The chat wants to know if this episode is sponsored by Celsius, because you have it pretty perfectly.
Oh, my brand placement is good.
Yeah.
No, this is not sponsored by Celsius. It is sponsored by Le Monad. Shout out Barry and Oh My Like, who put the Le Monads together. I just like Celsius, and a lot of team members here at the foundation do as well. Gets me fired up. Not that I need it on Throughput Thursday for Monad in the morning, but no, Celsius is just an enjoyable beverage, not a sponsor. We have no sponsors. This is
community driven.
Yes, that's what we love. And let's get a spin the wheel going here. Hopefully our guest will join in a minute.
I think we should do something a little more challenging this time. You just disseminated a ton of information. Should we have people quote tweet some piece of information that maybe that they learned?
Yes. Okay. I like this. So anything that I've talked about during the first 34 minutes of Monad in the morning, go take one learning, one sentence, Do not write it with Chat GPT, please. I'm not going to pick you if you write it with Chat GPT. I'm so tired of seeing these M dashes and these summarized responses.
If you use ChatGPT, use your brain to make it not look like it's ChatGPT.
Yeah. And it's like, I totally understand. Like some people are doing it to correct grammar if English is not your first language. But I would say just be yourself. You'll probably learn more by doing it organically, and we'll still give you all the love and the credit in the world. But yeah, go quote tweet this stream on Twitter with some sort of learning that you have.
All right.
And yeah, I'll pick them as they
as you're kind of going through that, I want to talk about at midnight tonight. We'll rewind a little bit. Last week, one of the winnings by Suzuki was a custom song, and that song comes out at midnight tonight on all streaming platforms. It is a banger. It is becoming one of my favorite spin to win prizes because it's been a cool way to like connect with the person and write something that kind of fits with their vibe. So I hope somebody gets a custom song. I already have one queued up for next week as well for Diego. He didn't officially win it. I just kind of made it before we added it to the wheel. And that one is also a banger. So do you have somebody?
We only have one person who has properly followed the instructions. And, you know, there's a special place in my heart for this person. Oh, there's a couple more kind of rolling in. They're all the super fans. They're all the VIPs. We've got okay, all right. We've got a new one, and I feel like I've got to pick the new one, which is Dre, who says the Monad RPC keeps getting better. LFG. That is very true. That is a valuable takeaway from this show. So we're gonna pick Dre with also shout out Dre 15 underscore banger PFP. Banger PFP. It's like a crazy chog star with some purple eyes. That's sick cool. PFP. Dre's getting the follow back live on stream. He's also getting the spin to win. But shout out some of the other quote tweeters. We had Suzuki, we had Sovan, we had It's Nacho 79. The super fans, love you all. We've got Nuke Lion coming in now. Honestly, great take from Nuke Lion. The earliest founders who realized Monad is the ultimate launchpad for next-gen apps will unlock unprecedented traction, visibility, and support, M-dash, well beyond what past ecosystems could offer. Shout out Nuke Lion. You're the best.
Do you want to do two spins?
Well, I can't pick Nuke Lion and gloss over some of the other legends who got it in early. Our guest is going to join in a second. This one is for Dre. And yeah, let's get this wheel going, baby.
I hope you get a custom song. Monad swag.
Ooh, Dre pulling up some Monad swag. That's a good one. Jessup, are you noting these prizes?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
Somebody says I can see the last 4 digits of Danny's debit card on his phone case wallet.
No, you can't. Also, like, that's not going to get you very far. Even if you got the whole thing. That's
you have been maxed out.
Yeah.
It was a coffee.
Yeah, there's
all right, so that was Dre.
Not a lot of fundage on there, but
no. Dre was the
yeah, Dre was the Monad swag.
What is the handle there? Let's call him out too.
Yeah. Where'd he go? Dre, I'm looking for you. Oh, here we go. At Dre 15 underscore. I'll give a little screenshot in case we missed that. But yeah, shout out Dre, getting some Monad swag. We will follow up with you after the show. Let's get some headphones on and bring on Mr. Bill Mondays, the cult leader. I'm excited. You should be too. Little
There we go.
little tech support.
This is specifically for Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hey guys, how are we?
Hey,
we just
Bill.
tried to mess something up for you.
What'd you try to mess up for me?
Well, I know how much you love tech support.
I do love it. I've already dealt with some of it. The join link wasn't in the calendar invite. Another classic Monday in the morning administration problem.
I thought I put it in there, Bill. My apologies. It is not a Monad in the morning if we don't have a tech issue. Today we started on time. We presumably have clear audio and video. We couldn't make it perfect.
Gang, no, it's been awesome. Although you were reading a tweet before, which is kind of crazy, but that's it. That's all right.
Some people are visual learners. Some people learn through video, and some people learn when I read things to them. I don't have any data on this, but I'm going to assume it's true. And yeah, it was honestly it was intern's tweet and your summary that I read aloud. So stole your thunder, sir. Apologies, but not sorry.
That's all right. No. All good.
Great tweet, though.
We have a blood feud, but actually, I think the blood feud needs to go. I'm not a hater, man. I'm more of a lover. I can't hate Monad in the mornings.
Me too. I'm happy to hear that. It's all love from our end. We have had some scheduling snafus where we've blocked time on Bill's calendar and then we haven't brought him up. So he understandably has been a little bit frustrated with us here on Monad in the morning, but we have him today and we've got stuff to talk about.
But Bill, before we get started, if you were stuck on an island, who would you pick from the Monad community?
I was going to shout you out. I was going to give you your flowers because you picked me, and that's so nice.
He actually had good reasoning for doing so as well.
He did. I didn't want to let him down on the timeline by telling him that I'm a LARP and that, like, I'm probably not the best choice because I feel like I'm the kind of guy that would go and find the lobster or go and find the fish and then not be able to, like, execute that and then have to go and get someone like... I don't know, like Drakey or someone to like actually go and do the thing. You know,
you're a lover. Really...
Exactly. I'm not the spearfisher. I can't crack the neck of a lobster or whatever the hell you do.
Depends how hungry you are.
It does. Yeah.
Well, by day 5, we might see a different Bill Monday.
Yeah, I then thought through that and then I started writing something up and I'm like, I'm a paragraph in at this point. I'm just going to say thank you.
I was ready for the novel.
Yeah. No. I don't know who I'd pick. I'd probably pick... well, now I feel bad. I can't not pick you because that would be rude.
I wouldn't pick Jessup.
I am the only one that probably has like real experience surviving things.
Yeah, that's true. I keep thinking I have mentioned Drakey already. I think Drakey would be really good. He's kind of got that, like, I don't know, he's like a out there doing it kind of. He's not a computer guy, you know. Like most of the people in the community, I feel like are computer people. Drakey's not a computer person. He's like a real world person, and then he just goes on the computer sometimes.
Yeah, but he attracts dogs, so
that would probably be good in a situation on an island. But well, firstly, he can survive wild animal attacks, which is like big points. Secondly, if he does attract more dogs, then we can like maybe tame them and just kind of like have them working on our team. Hopefully, convert them over. Yeah. Look, I'm showing my nose for you guys. This is I'm now doxing slightly more each week.
By episode 20 or so, they're going to be recreating your face fully with AI. You get you know, the eyes in one episode. Maybe next week you slide it up and you get the forehead in there, and piece by piece, the Bill Docs comes together.
By Mainnet, it's just going to be shirtless in the sun
on an island.
Yeah.
Well, stick around for that.
Yeah.
Keep watching every week because you never know when that's going to happen. Could be our last Monad in the morning, though.
What have we talked about so far? What's been going on the show?
Well, we kind of ran through some of the high level updates as we like to do. So we talked about your summary of Keone's AMA, some awesome questions answered there. We talked about the update to the docs with the new FAQ page, and encourage people to check that out. Even if you're non-technical, just a great place to learn about Monad. Check out that Ask Monad AI module as well. We also talked about intern's reply to Gen Aura Queen on Twitter, talking about Monad Foundation strategy, the role in helping to cultivate and accelerate the growth of the ecosystem as well. So yeah, those were kind of the main high level points that we hit on. Some tech updates. Tech continues to improve, but we've got you here, Bill, and we want to talk about the community.
Yeah.
What's going on in the community, Bill?
What's going on in the community? It's interesting. I feel like, I don't know. Lots is going on in the community. I feel like there's like a kind of a feeling at the moment of like everyone's kind of like, what's going on? What's next? What are we missing? What should I do? Why are people not doing this? Why are people not doing that? There's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of like kind of head scratching. And I feel like, I don't know, the community is so strong. And this is the thing, like, I don't know, it's very hard to gauge that on the timeline because there's a lot of noise from elsewhere. The algorithm keeps getting kind of changed up, it feels. Like almost a month back, the algorithm was very siloed and we stopped seeing things from everywhere else. And it was just like purely a Monad echo chamber for a little while. And so it felt like, oh, wow, everything's kicking off. And then the algorithm's been tweaked slightly and I started showing things from different communities, like the Twitter community thing has started popping up a lot more. And we're starting to see more of people in our, like further out in our networks. And like, there's been big things happening with like, you know, other teams, and there's been new things popping up on the timeline. And we're at like 110K Bitcoin, and it doesn't feel like there's not that euphoria. It's kind of like a weird like stasis period. And so we've also had some interesting feedback. We've had some good discussions started from people like Purple Man. You know, he started talking about like, how do we actually create a community experience for everyone? You know, right now I send someone into the community and they're maybe not getting the experience that maybe I had when I first joined or someone else had. And like, where do we send people? And that's an interesting question as well to raise, which leads to a whole bunch of like what things that we can do better, because we can always do better things. You know, one of the main things I think that I tried to get at in my post yesterday about these adoption curves is, you know, you need to kind of be innovating and you need to be doing what is like, you need to be an early person at something. It's very hard because, you know, we are at this stage where we're kind of inundated by very new accounts, some of them real people, some of them are, you know, people just trying to kind of find value and extract that value. Some of them are, you know, getting paid to find that value and extract that value. There's a massive mix of things going on, and it's very hard to kind of find your voice and rise above that. One of the things I recommend constantly is like not to talk about Monad, as people just want to talk about, like, the default impulse is to kind of go on Twitter and post like Monad is great, and then post that 10 times and just hope to get some like recognition, hope to get some community buy-in, hope to become a community celebrity like a lot of these people are.
Or the kind of quintessential, can I get a Monad?
Yeah. And it's like, that's a completely irrational impulse, because it's like, okay, how do I join a community? Well, I find the people, I talk about what the people are interested in, I use their terms and I use their like references, and then hopefully that will get me some recognition. And it just doesn't work like that anymore, because, you know, these kind of phrases and terms and ideas are like kind of ending up being at the end of the kind of now like a signal of being late almost. You need to find the signals of being early, and there aren't that many signals of being early.
It's almost like the lore is almost too deep, which is it's great, but from the outside looking in, it's really difficult to feel like, oh, how do I even catch up? Because I don't know any of this lore, and even as somebody that came into the Monad community, it was 6 months ago. It was it even felt like, oh wow, there was so much lore that I needed to understand and figure out. It felt like work, as opposed to like, how do you feel accepted with and then kind of embraced into it.
Yeah. And you need to kind of be like, you need to like, because back in the day it was quite, I'm not going to say easy, but there was less things going on and less, so the attention was more focused, and so you could become a person like Happy, or someone where it's like you started writing, and we saw him starting to write and get like 6 likes and then 10 likes and then 30, and then now he's at like 50, 60, 70, 100, getting up into like the multiple hundreds for writing. And like that was a long process, and there's many people like that, but the community stayed with them, and they found their voice and things. And now what you have to do is you almost have to be like at Happy's level or someone's level, like Drakey or Andalf or Too Red or any of these guys' level. You have to kind of like be posting that stuff from the jump, and then also try and hit these community notes and references to get the buy-in from the rest of the community. And that's really hard, because you're asking people, hey, be a fully formed tweeter, like with a unique niche, and be at this like high level before you almost join. And that's like asking a lot of people. So what I'd almost encourage, sorry.
No, you go ahead. I don't want to cut this off. Sorry.
What I'd almost encourage is like doing a bit of pre-planning and figuring out like, because this is the hardest thing. It's like, what do you do? What is your thing? Who are you? Like, what do you want to do? There was this hilarious show back in the day. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like the guy had this phone-in call show, and it was just called Dreams. And it just
Dreams with Radon Randell.
It is Dreams with Radon Randell.
That's from Blue Mountain State. It's from a TV show, but that is so good. That's one of the inspirations for Monad in the Morning. We make your dreams come true.
Dreams. What's your dream, caller?
Yeah. That show's the best.
Exactly. I have not seen that.
Oh, you got to see this.
He would just get on a phone call and he'd just be like, "What's your dream, caller?" And then the caller would just be like, "My dream is blah, 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 this, and that's like," and then he'd help that come true.
That sounds
so amazing. It's like, I feel like that is what I might start doing. I feel like that should be my show segment, Daniel, is dreams, because you need to come in with a little bit of a plan and figure out who you are. Like, what do you want to do? You can't ask me, you can't ask the team like, hey, I want to do this, because it's like the answer is yes. And in life,
Bill, did you
got a frozen Bill Mondays on the scene? He is extremely handsome in that.
A wild frozen moment.
That's like the death stare.
Uh-oh. Bill Monday, you might need to rejoin.
In life, pause.
Chat, do you all see us though? We're still good, right? Somebody says Jeezy's screenshots incoming. For sure. That is definitely getting clipped. He is back. There we go.
What happened?
You said in life, and then it just froze.
Oh, dude, because that was the good part. In life, people don't pull you through doors. They leave doors open for you. Like they don't just pull you through and give you opportunities. You have to just be like, I got this opportunity. I want this opportunity. Here's why, and people give it to you. They leave the door open.
So, right before we started Monad in the Morning, I was telling Danny there's kind of something I wanted to talk about that happened over the last month, but also kind of came to a head over the weekend. But there was this guy that just blew up and took over TikTok, and the handle is called Sailing with Phoenix. And it's a dude who decided to just quit his job and go sailing from Portland to Hawaii by him, solo sailing with his cat, Phoenix. And he just started daily posting the videos. Did we lose you, Bill?
No, I'm just taking a sip of my coffee.
Oh. And so he just started posting this, and it blew up on TikTok, and he now has a like 1.5 million followers or something. He had a Coast Guard. The Coast Guard brought him into Hawaii. There's brands that started doing drops, like they would literally fly out to where he is in the ocean and drop him supplies and things. And he just did stuff. Like, he didn't ask for permission for anybody. He just went out, and I think that's the thing, is like he just went and lived his life and found this is what he was going to do. And there are lots of videos where he was unsure of what he was going to do, or like it got really choppy on the ocean. He got sick. He went through rough patches for sure, but he made it to Hawaii over the weekend, and there was the Coast Guard brought him in. There was tons of people there welcoming him. And I just thought that was a cool kind of piece to, like, you literally don't have to wait for somebody to tell you when the right time to do something is. Just live your life.
Yeah. And the thing is that there's so many opportunities, but they're all concealed. Concealed pathways is like one of my favorite things to talk about, because there are the obvious opportunities, and those are not the good opportunities, because everyone can see them, and so everyone's competing for them. And so job listings are an opportunity that everyone can see and are very obvious, like the things that your guidance counselor teaches you, tells you about in school to go do. Those are the things that are obvious and that everyone's competing for. And when everyone competes for an opportunity, the price gets bartered down, or the competition goes way up. Like being a streamer, being an influencer, making a trade on perps, like one trade that just sets you up for life. Like these are all kind of opportunities that people are like, I want that. And then there's just like a million people competing for it, and it's going to be impossible. But there's all these opportunities that are concealed and hidden, and you don't know what they are until you figure it out. You get placed with the right person who talks about it. You somehow accidentally fall into it. You can find those opportunities by looking really hard, and then there's no one competing for it. In crypto, there are so many of these things. Like there are so many niche jobs and opportunities that will change your life in a massive way, and you don't know that they exist. And so what I would suggest to people is to do some planning, figure out who you are, what you like doing. It's kind of like an arranged marriage with careers and with like your future. You just have to like pick something and just dedicate a lot of time to it and do it every single day. Announce your intentions. So like, hey, I am really interested in user experience optimization. Like no one really knows what that is. There's no university training for it. You just basically have to watch a lot of like YouTube. You have to do a lot of repetitions, figure out. So user optimization, user experience is like the placement of design elements and how to get people onto apps quicker, how to make them have a great experience. I'm just using this as an example, right? Yeah. So like you can train this a lot, like by, from YouTube, from online courses, from whatever, you practice with it. And then you can just announce your intentions on Twitter and just be like, hey, I'm really interested in user experience. I'm going to spend 30 days posting about crypto user experience in the hopes that I get a job, or hopes that I get an opportunity. And then you just post like all of these pages. You say, here's what I'd change. Here's what I'd do different. Here's where this is really good. You put some thought into it. It's probably going to take you like 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day to write these posts, 45 minutes maybe. And at the end of that, that's like, basically you've done a university degree. People will hire you if you have a portfolio, and it's like, it shows that you're really good and you're onto it. And like, that is the route to success now. It's not through university degrees, going through job listings, whatever. It's through DMing people on Twitter, being like, hey, look at my profile. Look at what I've been doing. You guys should check this out. I could help you here, here, and here. And here's why. People will respond to that. They'll say, yes, 100%. There's no one out here doing it. We need this.
There's two things to kind of continue on that, though. Is one, if you're going to be putting it out in public, don't be afraid to look stupid, because you're literally going to be learning on the fly and adjusting, and you need to just be able to like not take people's feedback personally and use it as just especially if you're doing something new and you're finding a new kind of path, then people won't understand what you're doing until they see it. And then the second piece is when you DM people and telling them, hey, this is what I'm doing, it is significantly more valuable to the people if you say, this is what I've done, not this is what I want to do. If you have something to show, it's way more like I get hit up constantly for things of like, hey, this is what I want to do, and like we just don't have as much time to dedicate to people's ideas. But when you say this is what I've started doing, it's already shows that you have the discipline and the go get attitude to do something, and that makes the people who want to help you actually want to help you improve it or take it to another level. So it's always better to start something, even if you don't know what the outcome is going to look like, and say, this is what I'm doing, not this is what I want to do.
And there's many members of the foundation team and team members across ecosystem projects, both in the Monad ecosystem and in other spheres of crypto, that have put this into practice and achieved like the desired outcome with that. And that certainly was the case for me. In starting the Pipeline podcast, I was really excited about what Monad was doing. I was really enjoying the community experience in the early days, and the scale at that point was much, much smaller. So it was easier to identify something that I could do, create a podcast, start talking about Monad on camera, because nobody had really done that yet, at least with a full focus on Monad. Now at scale, there's less obvious routes that need to be pursued. If you're the 50th person spinning up a Twitter space every week to talk about Monad, sure, that's cool, but the resonance isn't going to be as powerful as if you were the first. So it becomes easier to capture attention with scale, but it becomes much harder to differentiate yourself. It's much easier to get 50 or 100 likes as a Monad community member now than it was 2 years ago in early 2023. But now the challenge is really like doing something unique and differentiated. And my personal suggestion is do something that you actually enjoy, because otherwise you're just going to burn out so quickly. And the diversity of interest, the diversity of people from across the globe that have a presence in the Monad community is really strong. And that lends itself to diverse interests. So there are things out there that can move the needle. There are things that every single viewer of this show could just start doing that we may never think of, but ultimately end up moving the needle in the long term. That's my perspective.
I'd push back on it a little bit and say, like, enjoyment is a little bit overrated, and people want to do what they enjoy, and it's like that's where there's the most competition, because everyone wants to be a musician, an artist, and like they want to just like make cool stuff. They want to do strategy, things that are like very obviously enjoyable. And I'd say that's like that's first round thinking, where you're like, okay, I want to be an artist. And there's just thousands of people that you have to compete with who are really, really good, and then the job opportunities just aren't really there. So you need to like do a little bit of thinking and surveying of like the landscape, because everyone's like, I want to do strategy, and it's like, well, there are lots of people that are very highly experienced, and you just don't really have the experience right now. And there's a lot of people that want to do it, and it's obviously enjoyable because you get to sit there and be like, you should do this, and then everyone goes and does that. That's not like kind of the correct thinking and format for your idea. Like, it is an arranged marriage. You should just be like, okay, well, I enjoy visual setups on things, and I enjoy good design. It's going to be hard work, and so I'm just going to like devote myself to doing it. Like, when you get into anything, you don't enjoy really anything. Like if you're a TikTok star, you don't probably enjoy editing videos. Like that probably sucks, but you just do it because it's work. So like there's a certain amount of enjoyment and there's a certain amount of just like arrange a thing and do it every day and force yourself to do it every day. Even if you do burn out, it's like if you end up hating it after like doing it for 3 months or whatever, then sure, change, but you just need to stick with something.
Well, the first time there's a video pinned on my Twitter, but like I did a running challenge where I set a goal to run 2 miles every single day, no matter what. And the main reason I did that is because I hated running. And I felt like building a discipline around something that you absolutely hate is significantly more valuable than building a discipline around something you enjoy. Because like if you can push through the things that you cannot stand to do, you end up finding love and appreciation for that, and you get significantly more value out of the whole process, and that can translate into a lot of other aspects of your life. There's also this thing in neuroscience where when you do things, and the term is, there is a piece of your brain and it's slipping my mind right now, but when you do things that you actively do not want to do, it grows the part of your brain that is responsible for the will to live. And I wish I knew what that piece of your brain is, but that is one of the only ways to grow that, is not to do things that are hard, because going to the gym, if you love going to the gym and that's a hard thing, it's still not going to grow this piece. And so you actively have to do things that you do not enjoy and push past that threshold, and that will grow that part of your brain that actually is responsible for the will to live. Yes, it is from the Huberman podcast. The chat is aware. So
yeah, and I know that we've got another guest coming on, but I guess I'll just finish up by like saying, so what you've got to do is survey, figure it out, figure out what's valuable. If you rank every single crypto website, if you do post about it for 30 days, you will get opportunities after that. This is stuff that we also then see. So you have this community. The community is sick of seeing just like Gamonad, give me a Gamonad, a few Gamonad. No more of that. No more of that. What we want to see is like unique things being done. I know Ichigo 1988 or whatever because he works on an oil rig and he shares posts about him working on an oil rig. Like that's unique. That's awesome. That's what we want to see. So figure out, obviously, maybe not everyone's working on an oil rig, but figure out what it is that you're going to do every day. It could be like eating ice cream. Like it's stupid, but it's like, it's very easy. You can just do it for like a week. You get recognition and it's like, okay, I ate ice cream every week I ate ice cream every day and I talked about it. People know you then and you get some buy-in and it's like, okay, I ate ice cream every day for a week. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, I'm going to find the current best DeFi projects getting built. How you do that, you go onto like DeFi Llama, you look at these new projects, you talk about them across the entire crypto landscape. That's unique, that's valuable. People are going to follow you for that. You're going to get opportunities from that. You're going to find opportunities yourself because there's stuff in there that people won't have seen. There's going to be yields, so there's going to be really good DeFi opportunities for you. The landscape is quite literally unbounded in what you could do because there's no one else doing a lot of this stuff. No one else is doing anything except for just posting about their day-to-day, like trying to make people laugh. Don't fall into that trap. There is almost unlimited opportunity.
Unlimited opportunity. Love to hear it. Bill, we'll have to get you back on soon and see how the community is progressing on this front, as well as calling out people that are doing cool things.
Let's spin the wheel on behalf of Bill before he hops off.
Quick spin. We gotta get Mr. Port up here to share some developer community updates. Bill, do you have any criteria that you'd like to help
Port,
us
I'm going to
choose the
bring you
winner?
on just for this spin too.
Yo, it's the boy.
The Masked Bandit 2.0.
I just had to see this on,
Port
on
underscore
screen.
dev. We're gonna spin the wheel. Bill, do you have any suggestions before you head back into the trenches, I guess?
Any suggestions?
Yeah, for how we pick the winner of the wheel.
I would also just like to quickly add, if you do have something that you want to do for the next 30 days and you're going to post about it, send me a DM and get some feedback. I don't normally like to see people stating their intentions, because it's like, just do it. But if you have something good, then just send it through and we can workshop on that. I would love to see that. I did mention Ichigo. I love his account. If he's in here, then I'd like to spin it for him. But if not, let's go.
Are you looking at the comments?
Yeah. I feel like Mirth Mano has been good. Have we picked him recently?
Who?
No,
Mirth
that's
Mano.
that's a new one.
Mur.
Mirthmano.
Let's go with Mirth.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Mirth chose me to be on the island with, so.
Oh, let's go.
Heck yeah.
I second that.
All right. This one is for Mirth Mano, courtesy of Bill Mondays. Let's get this wheel going. And ooh, a Jerry NFT, not bad. All in a day's work. Jerry NFT. Well, Bill, thank you very much for joining us here on episode 15 of Monad in the Morning. That was definitely a great segment, and we will certainly clip that up so we can share it with the community, anyone who wasn't tuning in live today. Look forward to seeing what the community cooks up in the coming days, weeks, months. If you do something cool, we will be sure to shout it out here on Monad in the Morning. Thanks again, Bill.
Appreciate you guys. Love Monad in the Morning. Blood feud buried.
Blood feud buried. Hatchet buried. Friendship kindled.
See you on the island.
Love it.
All right. Appreciate it, fellas. See you guys.
See ya, Bill. And without further ado, we're staying on the subject of community, but this time we're going to talk about the developer community, and we have the legendary Port_dev joining us to tell us everything that's happening on the technical side of the community. Port, how are you doing today,
Another
sir?
beautiful accent, too.
Oh, yes. Port has the best voice.
Oh, yeah. So sorry about the voice this week. I'm a little bit sick, but
Oh,
I
no.
hope this will do.
Oh, it will do. We hope you're feeling okay, Port.
Oh, did I just lose connection?
You're just
Briefly,
glitching
you're okay.
slightly.
Oh no. Get some prayers in the chat for Port. He's a little under the weather and his screen is frozen, but we need to get him back here to hear about what's going on in the developer community.
His internet's under the weather as well. It looks like.
We'll get Port back up here because there is a lot to unpack on the dev community side.
Port is back. Let's bring him back in.
Yeah, sorry
Okay.
about this. My connection has been janky lately. Yeah, so I'm back. I'm back for a second session. Since
Let's
we
go.
didn't have enough time in the first one, I still have some updates from the previous slides. So first of all, how are you doing, Danny and Jessup?
Amazing, Port. Amazing.
We're doing great. It's another fine throughput Thursday. We actually shouted out a couple members of the developer community already, Gizdom Sum and Kajin, who just published the Monad Invaders game, which is pretty cool. We've got some pipeline branding in there. You could play. I think you can play as Port. I think you can play definitely as myself, my PFP. You can play as Keone. You can play as Gizdom Sum and a couple others as well. So love to see the DevNads cooking, but excited to hear from you, Port. What's going on?
People are saying PFP, pray for Port.
PFP, pray for Port.
Yeah, yeah, I will need that. And also that game is available on Farcaster as a mini app. So if you haven't tried any mini apps on Monad, I'm like urging you, everyone, to just try out mini apps on Monad. You can go to Farcaster and like find them. They're everywhere. Everyone is building mini apps on Monad. That's it. Let me share my screen first, because I think we have less time than I expected to have.
Yeah,
So,
we might have to run this back next week as well. Sorry, Port, we're time crunching you.
All right. So I think we can go over this very quickly, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
Whatever speed
Oh,
you
sorry.
want to do it. Just whatever speed.
All right. So this is the developer community updates by me for Monad in the morning. Let's go very quickly. So we have some leftover stuff from the previous one. We will talk about the missions. We will talk about the new role structure, and we will talk about being a developer on Monad. And then at the end, we will have some dev highlights. Let's go. So I'm not sure if I showed you this before, but we run developer missions with rewards. First, we started with crazy contract mission. Then we had MCPs. And now we recently finished the Farcaster Mini Apps mission. And you will see the winners pretty soon, but I cannot give you the dates. And the next mission is something that starts with a B. Here, I'm making my cursor big, so yeah, try to take a guess, but the next mission will be about something that starts with B. I don't know what this could be, but maybe you know. All right. And also, if you have some mission ideas, please let me know so that we can cook up really good missions. Let's move on. By the way, this is a Salmonite cooking something. This is what the devs do. We cook stuff. All right. Let's glance over the missions real quick. And this is the first mission, the crazy contract mission. So the contract size on Ethereum is just like 24 kilobytes. But on Monad, we increased that to 128 kilobytes. And this just enables thick contracts, as you can see from the big chunks here. And here are some highlights. This was the first mission. We got like 41 submissions. We got a huge Mulan deck, huge contracts, and the winners got thousands of testnet more. Let's move on to the second one. Oh yeah, the second one was the MCP madness. I think everyone is pretty familiar with MCPs because they've been a huge hit on crypto Twitter. Everyone liked MCPs, and everyone was talking about MCPs also. And we had like more than 100 submissions, and it was a record for that time. And we had some workshops, we had some APIs and free stuff from some companies as well. And we got like every kind of project, from deploying meme coins to reading NFT holders and other tools. Let's move on. Oh, and these are the winners. And shout out to the winners: Welcome Picking, Nedai.fun, and the ones that I cannot read the names of because they are too long and too hard to pronounce. And then, hey, this was the last mission that we did, and it was the Break Monad version 2 Farcaster edition. And this was so fun. We got together with the DevNets and we built games for Farcaster. And Farcaster is amazing. When you build a game on Farcaster, you get an embedded wallet. You get to use the Farcaster wallet. Before, when we started this mission, it was called the Warpcast wallet, but now Warpcast rebranded to Farcaster. So we got to use the Farcaster wallet. So we did not have to implement the new connection logic. So it was all so easy to build games on this. And we had like 3 workshops, free Farcaster invites, and free Nainar for people. And this was literally the biggest mission with the biggest rewards. So look at these numbers. Can I zoom on this? No, but I think you can see them. Like 15K testnet more for the first person. And this image was entirely designed on ChatGPT. If you want to design some things, try ChatGPT. All right, I'm out of breath. Let me take a breath.
Take a big breath, Port. That was a lot of info, but a lot of good info, and you have quite the rag on your face. So it must be pretty hard to breathe through that thing. Your CO2 levels are probably through the roof right now, but
yeah,
hopefully,
especially if you're a little under the weather.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and don't forget that if you're ever nervous, increase your CO2 levels in your brain, which calms you down. This is a nice little trick. That's why techniques like box breathing work. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Right. Huge.
My man.
Free stuff. We love free stuff. What's free, Port? What's free?
All right. So if you're building things on testnet, and if you're struggling to find stuff, I think you should check out like Monad-related projects, because they are usually giving free stuff like Turnkey, Privy, Para, Envio, Dynamic, Farcaster, and Neinar. They all give out free stuff for developers on Monad. And for example, like Privy is like literally free on testnet, as well as Para and Envio. By the way, Envio is a indexer, and Privy and Para and Turnkey, Dynamic, they are all like wallet info providers. So if you're building something, you might want to choose Monad testnet, because you're gonna get a bunch of free real estate. So don't forget this. Keep this in mind. All right, next slide. Also, we have a new initiative called Monad Blitz, and the first of this is going to happen this weekend in Bangalore. And Monad Blitz is an intense, fun-packed, one-day IRL hackathon designed to plunge you head first into Monad. And this is just a one-day super hackathon in which you can practice your skills and get some prizes and have a big fun. Also, Monad Blitz will happen in New Delhi and in other places as well. So it might be coming to a city near you soon. Keep an eye out for that. Oh yeah, developer highlights. We have 3 people. First of all, we have this cute guy called Novi. And
Novi is always cooking.
Hell yeah, he is. Damn sure he is. He built Monad tiles for Break Monad V1. And he is actually one of the most active developer community members. And he's also a dev at SpikyNet. And I like every time I talk to him, he's always developing something for someone else. He just likes to help people. And if I were a developer just learning how to dev, I would ask him about front ends, because he's a front end expert. And his game, Monad Tiles, is now live on Farcaster as a mini app. So go test it out. Maybe find some bugs, maybe bug him, or send DM me about those bugs so that I can bug him instead.
Bug him about debugging.
Yeah,
That's
bug him
pretty
about front ending.
Sure. Do you want to take a breather and we spin the wheel?
Yeah,
I think we should.
yes,
All
sir.
right.
That sounds
You have been going, and I know it's hard to breathe on that in that thing. So.
A lot of updates to run through. Maybe do we have anyone from the developer community in the chat here? If you're from the dev community, drop a line, and we'll have Port pick someone if he sees anyone coming in from the developer community here in the chat today. I know we've also got the DevNads Hangout coming up in the Monad Developer Discord. Easiest way to join the Monad Developer Discord is probably to go to the @Monad_dev account on Twitter, and then that link is right in the bio. So if you are a developer, or if you just want to learn more about maybe starting out, hacking together some mini apps for Farcaster on Monad, or anything of that nature, check out the dev community. Port's going to be over there, I believe, in a couple minutes to have some fun with the dev community. So, Port, did we find anyone in the chat from the developer community that we can spin the wheel for?
Is it okay if I ask a question? And
sure.
Yeah. So, what's our schedule? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say the chat might go crazy, so you will have to be on it to look for the answer. So.
Yeah, I'll just lift my glasses if that's okay. All right, so the question is, what's the schedule for today's DevNets Hangout? The first person gets the spin.
What's the question? What's the
schedule for today's
the schedule. Oh, you got to put the schedule for the DevNets Hangout in the chat.
Oh, yeah, someone got it. Rosin. We are going to learn, by the way, if you're interested in joining the developer community, we are going to learn how to develop a simple scene in Unity with the Flappy Trump game. So yeah, feel free to join. The event is open for newbies, and it's gonna start in like 6 minutes. So I'll see you there. And Rosin, that was really fast. Hell yeah,
Beauty.
man.
Well, Rosin is on the ball. No surprises there. This wheel spin is going to go to Rosin. Jessup, you want to take it away?
Sure. All right, here we go, Rosin. This one is for you.
Big spin.
A pipeline follow.
That has most definitely already been accomplished. I'm just going to confirm that Pipeline is following our boy Rosin here. It's crazy that it's saying we're not following Rosin. I just followed, but Twitter sometimes glitches, and like the other day it said my personal account wasn't following Keone, so Keone was probably maybe a little bit surprised to get a notification that Danny is now following him on Twitter. Apparently Rosin, Twitter is saying that we weren't following you previously. That is crazy talk if you ask me, but we just hit that follow button again. And if you're watching along, Rosin, pretty cool dude, always cooking, been around the community for a long time. So follow at ROSINXYZ. Very easy.
Rosin and Medusa were behind the Jerry. They won the Club competition, which is pretty cool. So shout out to Jerry, bro.
And Foggy as well, I believe. And those guys have been super awesome. Breath of Estova.
Rosin's new PFP, the Mon, I don't even know what it's called. The Montana
Baddies.
Yeah. Has a little Jessup vibe with the cloak, the purple cloak.
Wow. You're trying to take some credit there?
A little bit.
Okay. Well, Rosin,
everything reminds.
We followed you. The community should as well. Let's get back to Port because we've got some other devs to shout out before Port heads over to the dev Discord for the hangout today.
All right. Thank you. So first highlight was Novi, and then let's move out to another crack dev who is Berzan. Look at how cute he is.
He is very cute.
He is very cute, and he is also the founder of Monday Exchange. And I think, he must be one of the most cracked devs I know in my life, and he's so young and talented. And the one thing about him is that no one can decide if he's a developer or an influencer. I legit get people thinking that he's an influencer because he's getting mad engagement on Twitter. For example, this tweet from him about more money. And this was something that I think he built in a day because I asked him to hey, build a Farcaster mini app. And this got 200K views. And this minted out so fast. And it was amazing. This was the first fully on-chain NFT on Monad. And it got released as a Farcaster mini app. And also, he is never in Turkey. He's from Turkey, but he's never in Turkey. He's always in Korea, Thailand, and other stuff. I don't know, he's everywhere. I don't know where he is right now, but he might be in Korea or
he
Thailand.
Posted I don't know if it was an engagement farm, but he posted a picture that he landed in Nigeria yesterday. Again, I don't know if he's actually there, but Berzan certainly is a world traveler. I had the pleasure of meeting him last year somewhere in Asia a couple different times. So shout out Berzan. He's cooking behind the computer. He's also cooking IRL, meeting up at the NADS. Much love to Berzan.
Berzan was in a vlog too.
He was in what?
He was in the vlog at the intro. Of stealing the Melandac, as I remember editing that one.
Yes. That was right when you joined, Jessup. We were having fun with Berzan out in, I want to say that was Bangkok.
Because that was the Madness.
Monad Madness Bangkok. Yeah, lot of fun with Berzan and other members of the community who we've had the honor of meeting IRL and hopefully many more to come. Port, I remember when we first met at ETHCC last year in Brussels. That was quite the honor. It was, I think, the first ever DevNads IRL hangout.
Yeah. And I was like, I shaked your hand and I was like, can you guess who I am? And you were literally clueless because why would you have a clue even to begin with? And that was such an honor, to be honest.
Well, back at you, Port. Back at you.
I can't wait to meet you, Port.
Oh yeah, I would love to as well. That would be such an honor. All right, let's go back to Berzan. And Berzan, if you're watching this, please go back to building your project. Stop traveling. Like sit sit on your arse and like start coding, bro. And before we move on from Berzan, please ask him about ZK, color theory, and how to test contracts, because this guy does not write code at first. He just first writes the tests, then writes the code. I mean, this is how it should be happening, but no one is writing tests except Berzan, maybe in the whole developer community. I don't write tests. I just write code and test them manually, but this guy writes tests. This means that he is crazy. All right, let's move on. All right, last highlight is Cassini, and he is the builder of the Sperm Invaders game. And he built that as a Farcaster mini app, and it's a great game, just like Flappytron. It has a shop and everything. You can advance in the game. You can buy upgrades. And this guy broke DevNet. He's a culprit. He should be not getting any roles. He broke DevNet, and he's a legendary scripter. He can write scripts for anything, and he got some pretty crazy meme game. And he might be building something cool and secret, but I don't know what that is. I might have written this wrongly. But yeah, ask him how to do anything. I bet he will come up with an amazing solution, because he always does. And that was all my developer highlights for this week. And if you want to join the developer Discord for the DevNets Hangout, that will happen right now. And please do this if you're a developer. Scan this code. Get your phones out.
Well, I said the easiest way to join the developer Discord was to head over to the @monad_dev Twitter account and smash the link in bio. But I have been proven incorrect. Port has given you an easier method to join the Monad developer Discord. Scan that QR code if you're technically inclined, or if you just want to learn a little bit more about building on Monad. That server is the place to do it. Port is kicking off the DevNads Hangout right now in the developer community Discord. So be sure to hop over there. And in about a half hour, if you're not a developer, Tunes is kicking off his weekly spaces on Thursday. So there's much more programming coming up here for devs, for non-devs, and anything in between. Port, thank you very much for joining today and sharing some updates on the developer community. We look forward to having you back soon, and we hope you recover well from your illness, sir. Thank you for pushing through and joining us today.
Hell yeah. Thank you for having me. This was such a blast.
Thank you as always.
Catch you later, Port. Thanks again. Stick around if you are in the audience, unless you're heading over to the DevNads Hangout, which is kicking off right now, again, in the developer Discord. We have one more segment. We've got a special IRL guest joining us here live in New York in just a couple minutes. We are going to be talking about job opportunities in crypto and how to land them, whether you want to be a community manager, whether you want to work on social media, marketing, growth, whether you're looking for a job as a developer, or anything in between. We're going to talk about it. We are bringing on Candace, who leads recruiting here at the Monad Foundation, to give you some tips and share some learnings from her extensive tenure working in recruiting. This is going to be a really, really valuable one.
Bye, Port.
Everyone wave goodbye to Port. Before we get over to the recruiting segment, however, we got to spin the wheel. It's Monad in the morning. Let's get this wheel going. How should we pick our next victim?
I kind of liked the just closing my eyes and whoever shows up on the stream. I think that is a pretty fair, random way to do it.
That's a pretty fair and pretty random way to do it, Jussup. I like it. Let's get the chat going. Jussup's going to click someone randomly in the chat. The chat.
I think we should just all say PFP, pray for Port.
PFP, let's toss some prayers up for Port. We love you, Port. We love the developer community, and we are very, very excited about all the momentum in the developer community from such an early stage.
Eyes are closing now. All right, you ready, Danny?
I'm ready, man. Click away. just keep clicking.
All attack 34.
Oh, okay. You got that there. All Natak 34. All Natak.
Congratulations, All attack.
First time winner. Let's spin this wheel for All Natak. What do we have, Justin?
James's car.
Oh,
James's
very
yayo.
nice.
What a that's a banger prize.
Banger prize. Shout out to James for tuning in every week, for giving away prizes every single week. Really appreciate James. He did come on a few weeks back and really roast us for the low quality prizes we were distributing on this wheel, and he took it upon himself to help us improve the prizes. So shout out James. I know he was busy yesterday, locked in building, so I believe he's tuning in on the stream here today, but not entirely sure. But our first time spin to winner is
All
going
attack,
home with a yayo.
If you can comment in the chat what your Twitter is, that would be helpful.
That would be very helpful. Yes. And okay, without further ado, we know the community's been waiting for it. We know there's a lot of community members that are aware of the massive opportunity in the Monad ecosystem to land a job, level up your career, try doing something new. And we have, like I was just saying, the perfect guest to speak to that. Really excited. We have Candace, who leads recruiting here at the Monad Foundation, joining us live. Candace, thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Yeah,
Welcome.
nice to be here.
Hi, Candace.
We got to get that chair a little closer for you. And these mics are they're pretty directional, so you want to be generally pretty close to it. Get as comfortable as you can. I know these aren't the most comfortable chairs.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the tips. I'm very much a newbie.
Well, we're really glad to have you here. I don't know if anyone at the foundation or even anyone in crypto has like the level of recruiting experience that you do. Maybe a few others, maybe a handful, but there's so much opportunity, I think, in the Monad ecosystem. And there's been many community members who have already landed jobs, but I think many more to come in the future. And you have, I think, a rare and unique perspective in terms of kind of understanding what projects are looking for in a new hire. So I'd love to dive into that. But before we do, would love to give a little intro to the community. This is Candace's first ever time joining us here on Monad in the Morning. So chat, please welcome Candace, and feel free to give a little intro on yourself and what you work on here at Monad Foundation, even though I already spoiled it a little.
Well, I'm really excited to be here, and I hope that I could help someone, because I know how hard it is, having been in that position myself. I think all of us can. But yeah, as a quick introduction, I started my career doing recruiting at a staffing agency right out of school. And then, yeah, I worked across various industries like security, infra, and consumer across the Web2 space. And then I joined Web3 accidentally. I had moved to London and I was trying to find a job, and I landed at, they were a web explorer, and then they built a wallet and then an exchange. And yeah, haven't looked back since, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that high level story is generally the same for a lot of people, just joining such a fast paced and rapidly evolving industry in crypto, and somewhere along the road just getting hooked and sticking around through the ups and downs. But there's a lot of opportunity, and certainly a lot of opportunity in the Monad ecosystem as well. But would love to hear some tips maybe for someone who's tuning in today, who's thinking about applying at a role that's been posted online, or maybe there's a project in the Monad ecosystem that's kind of near and dear to their hearts, and maybe they aspire to one day land a full-time or even part-time opportunity. But for someone who's kind of just starting out, maybe they've never worked in Web3 previously, what are some kind of tips for a very general role, but just kind of general tips for like getting into the industry? Because it's it's a very small industry, and there's a lot of personal network value in terms of like, oh, I know this person, we maybe worked together previously or overlapped at a conference, and I'm going to shoot them a DM and kind of like use the network to get a foot in the door. But not everyone has that opportunity. So I'm curious how you think about approaching that, or what advice you would give to someone who's looking for a job in crypto.
Yeah, I think the beauty of crypto is that it's so public facing. So there is a lot of work that you can do to showcase your abilities or even your learnings. I'd say if you're joining somewhere more early stage, usually the early stage startups want someone that can wear a lot of different hats, is very much a generalist. So if you're someone that likes to do different things, I think that would be a great direction to go in. If you're in the community, naturally, you can get involved in the community. You can organize events. You can kind of, rally people online. So I think that's an easy thing that you could do. The other thing, like from a marketing perspective, I think like if you want to get into generally marketing, it's very different from like traditional Web 2.
Sure.
So like obviously everything lives on CT. So it's like actually really hard to market yourself on CT. I don't even know how people can do it. I know I couldn't do it. But if you kind of help build your own brand, I think that those are skills that also translate to joining a crypto company. And then if you're a developer, which is very common, a lot of early stage startups tend to hire their first, 1, 2, 3 engineers. That's usually where they focus. Then I'd say like go to your local hackathon, or, build an open source project, or even contribute. Like those are things that actually differentiate you from everyone else.
Yeah, one thing that stands out to me that you mentioned, I mean, several things, but one thing that I really want to double click on is the idea of like being a generalist, and the fact that you mentioned early stage startups are looking for people that can wear many hats, because oftentimes, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but oftentimes like there's not a ton of funding. So you're not able to go out and hire 15 very tailored, extremely specific roles with a narrow scope, but you still have to get those things done. And how are you going to get those things done if you have a 5-man team and you could technically have 15 or 20 different roles? Well, you need those 5 people to be able to fill all of those different roles. And for the prospective employee or the person who's looking to find a job, I think in a sense, being a yes man or a yes woman is really helpful in that. And to not just say, hey, I want to join XYZ company and I only want to work on social media, or I only want to work on community management. I think knowing what skills you have that you've already kind of honed and practiced and maybe perfected is obviously really good, because that's how you can market yourself. But also once you're in that role, or maybe even being evaluated for that role, giving the impression that you're able to learn really quickly and take on tasks, even if it's not in your job description or what you understood the role to be, to just literally roll up your sleeves and, take a stab at different projects. I think that's so valuable for a lot of startups. And it's certainly been my experience. And that doesn't mean you're going to enjoy every last minute of it. That doesn't, I don't think that really exists in the real world, but I think that's an important takeaway as well, to be willing to just dive into things.
Yeah, and a lot of times it is interconnected a little bit, especially doing ecosystem work. Like, community is very much connected to marketing and growth. And so, yeah, I think you'll be surprised how many of those skills translate, especially if you want to get into BD. Like, that's also connected in some way. And I know every place or every person defines BD differently, but I think making those connections, and I also would anchor it around your location, because crypto, like, there's kind of these micro markets across every region. So yeah, like, you could still be a generalist, but also be an expert in your region. I think that's something that is valuable to any project.
Oh, definitely. For sure. Because there's obviously so much nuance, especially for like globally decentralized protocols that have customers, if you will, or users, or different facets of their community or located all around the globe. And if you can kind of understand a local market, that's certainly an advantage for any role, whether it's community or BD or marketing, or even on the developer side of things. Probably a little bit less so, but still important, I would say. An interesting question that I'm actually just seeing right now in the chat, from Sham Katabe. Sorry if I'm Katabe. Sham Katabe. Is it worth it if I start learning developing? Is it worth my time? Do you have an answer for that?
Well, it's definitely easier said than done. I recall, I started my career in technical recruiting, and I remember there was a period where there were all these boot camps. And I remember thinking, oh, maybe I should do one of those, because that would make me become like a better technical recruiter. But I'm still like intimidated by it, and I did not do it, by the way. So I'm not saying my personal experience should be something you'd consider, but but I know boot camps are much more accessible and affordable. So, and there are even ones that you could do online. So I don't know, maybe take a baby step and just try it. Yeah, something that's more low stakes, to see if it's actually something you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think being open to trying things out is really important. And actually, this question, it kind of goes beyond the specifics of like getting a job or learning developer skills. When evaluating like any new endeavor that you could pursue, there's always this question of like, is this going to be worth my time? And almost always there's no clear way to know up front whether whether it's going to pay off in the way that you think it's going to pay off. In this context, it's like, should I learn developer skills in order to get a developer job, or am I going to waste my time and not land a developer job? Well, you don't know until you try it. So if that sounds cool to you, if you do some research on what the day-to-day is for a developer, and that sounds like something you'd want to pursue, then go for it. We had James on the other week talking about how the developer job is really going to evolve very rapidly in the coming years, if not months, with AI. But I think that framework is really important. It's not like, what is the % chance that if I learn to be a developer that I'm going to get a job that pays X amount within 6 months' time? I would not recommend that mental framework. I don't know if you would, but I think it's more about like, what do you want to do? What skills do you have? Where do you think you can add value? Really ruminate on that for a long period of time and try things out. Lean into the things that are working, the things that you like to do. To Bill Monday's point, that doesn't mean every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, but it's worth experimenting and actually trying things out rather than always being in a state of, well, should I do this? Should I start? I don't know what the payoff is going to be. It's kind of risky.
Yeah, and the thing is we don't know what the future is really going to look like when things are being replaced with AI, and it's accelerating at a rate that is insane. And I think learning any new skill is net positive. When you can, if that's like, to your point, much better than just sitting around doing nothing and thinking and dealing with analysis paralysis. Like, you start to do something or anything, it will lead you towards your career, your goal. You may find that that's not the path that you want to go down, but the only way to figure that out is to do it.
Right.
So
I spent 10 years producing music and DJing, and in the first 1, 2, 3, probably 5 years that I was doing that, I thought, hey, it would be really cool one day to be, world famous DJ touring around. And, ultimately, like, COVID came around and I decided I didn't really want to do that full time, and I didn't want to continue leaning into that and pursuing that. But I gained a bunch of good skills along the way. I became more comfortable being in front of a crowd of people. I certainly enjoyed producing music, playing with music, and I have zero regrets, even though you could theoretically look back at that and be like, wow, I wasted a bunch of years because that didn't become my long-term career. But I think like the approach and the mindset is really important.
There's another question here, Candace, that says, how could you hire John W. Rich Kid? Do you consider that the biggest mistake of your life?
I don't know if we can put that blame on Candace.
I was not involved in that. Yeah. He just showed up one day and he's lovely.
Don't try and do that.
Yeah.
that ship has sailed. But I do want to get back to a couple more community questions, a couple more topics that are on my list. But on Monad in the morning, we spin this wheel for the community, and there's all sorts of prizes. There's some punishments on here as well, so you might get blocked by the Monad main account, but you also could earn some testnet NFTs. You could earn some testnet Mon, some other cool prizes as well. So we pick somebody from the chat and we spin the wheel for them, and then we give them a prize.
Oh, fun.
And you are we got to do your inaugural spin.
Okay.
But first we need to pick somebody that we're going to spin for. So should we see who has a good question, and then we pick someone with a good question?
Yeah, I mean,
that sounds good. So don't spam the chat too much because we won't be able to see it. But if you have a question for Candace about anything recruiting or job related or even beyond, maybe we will pick you and spin the wheel for you. So if you have a question, now is the time to drop it in the chat. Seeing some questions. I don't know if they're quite worthwhile. Still getting some full access. Okay, well, I actually like this question from Pince Croco, Pince_Croco, and Truffle Pig. All right, let's do two. Wow, we're getting some good questions now. But I'm going to combine Truffle Pig and Pince Croco's questions. We're going to spin the wheel twice. Pince asks, is there a generalist position open at Monad? And I actually want to make that a little bit more broad and talk about what positions are currently open at Monad Foundation and across the ecosystem as well. And then Truffle Pig asks if there's any internships at Monad Foundation. Will there ever be? And again, I want to take that same approach about the the ecosystem. But we've got a spin. Jessup, you got the prize notes ready for Prince or Pince _ Croco and Truffle Pig 13. Candace, if I'll hold it down, but if you want to spin the wheel, can you reach that?
Oh yeah.
Just give it a good spin.
So, here, real quick, turn it slightly.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, so they can
Ready?
see it. Oh, good spin. Let's see.
What is it?
You tell me.
Lovey personal crash out.
Oh, so this is
Louis.
this is a special
Louis. Oh.
one. King Louis from the community
yes.
will send you a video personally crashing out at you, about you, or maybe unrelated. They tend to be very long and humorous rants. That one was for Pince. So Pince Croco is getting a personalized crash out. So
And now Truffle Pig.
now for Truffle Pig, Candace, take it away.
Louis didn't have. I swear there's an E at the end. No.
No, actually.
No, there isn't.
No, there's
Okay.
I don't think so. Unless I'm wrong.
You learned
It
something
could be.
new.
Yes.
A foggy.
Wow.
Truffle Pig gets a foggy.
Truffle Pig gets a foggy NFT on the Monad testnet, courtesy of Rosin, one of our spin 2 winners earlier on in this episode. Always having fun here on Monad in the morning, but always learning as well. And we need to learn what positions are currently open at the Monad Foundation or in the Monad ecosystem, regardless of vertical, whether they be an internship or a full-time role. How do you see the opportunity now? And also, how do you see the opportunity evolving as we get to mainnet and beyond?
I think the journey has been so different. I mean, since I joined, which was summer of 2023, we were hiring a ton of generalist roles last year. Just because we had so many gaps to fill. This year, they're more specific. We're looking to build out our TradFi vertical, so hiring someone to lead that initiative. We're also looking for a marketer in APAC. So that kind of alludes to what I mentioned before about understanding CT, memes, meme lore. If you've built a great following for yourself, that skill is definitely transferable. And yeah, we also hire opportunistically. So I don't want to say, no, we're not hiring for generalist roles or interns, but we're always on the lookout. So if you feel like, you'd be able to have an impact in an area that we don't see, then definitely connect. Yeah, definitely connect with someone here, me, and I'd be happy to take a second look and share it with the team.
Awesome. We also had a question that I thought was quite interesting about resumes, and I've kind of lost it in the chat here. Oh, here it is. I didn't lose it for too long. Shring Mammal Soul. Shringmammal.soul says, applying for things like recruitment, etc., have dev experience and have been in crypto for many years. Just seems like this is the place where that piece of paper shouldn't matter as much. Candace, how much does a resume matter in crypto? How's it different from Web 2? And what ultimately matters most when you're trying to put your best foot forward, showcase what experience you have, and showcase the value that you can add to a team?
I think the resume, I don't think a ton of time should be spent on it. So I agree that the piece of paper isn't the make or break. But let's say if you don't have a connection or it's just a new company and you don't know anyone, which is very natural. I've definitely applied to a lot of companies where I didn't know anyone working there per se. You just want to use it to kind of build a story around yourself, but not like a story, not like a novel. It's more of a teaser to a movie where you just want to add the highlights. So I'd say it's important, but not so important that you should pour a lot of time into it.
Here's another question that I think is a great question. Do Web3 recruiters recruit from LinkedIn?
Yes. I use a lot of tools, but LinkedIn continues to be the place. I mean, even just from a verification standpoint, we have to be careful when we are recruiting for people that generally want to join versus for malicious reasons. So, yeah, I think the more that you have, especially as a developer, like I think if there's different points of interest that highlight your background, LinkedIn is great just from a verification standpoint because there are people out there that make things up. And then GitHub, Twitter, kind of a combination of those things. Like it does differentiate you from a lot of other candidates.
There's another good question here. How do you feel about anon applications? How do we go about, some of these people on crypto Twitter, and we even have some a part of our the foundation team that are anonymous online. How does an anonymous person go about applying for a job, or how do you feel about that in specific?
Yeah. I guess from my experience, there aren't a lot of mostly people are forthcoming with their identities, but we have interviewed people that do not. And I think in Web3, it's very socially acceptable. So I would say don't let that stop you. I don't think that will hurt your chances.
Yeah, especially, I mean, for some roles more than others. I think actually the most difficult thing about trying to land a job as somebody who's anonymous is you're creating this second persona. You're creating this person for all intents and purposes that really isn't you. And sometimes that can be draining because it can take a lot of effort to build up this persona into somebody who is compelling enough to be hired, because you're not only just being yourself, but you're trying to think what is the brand of this anonymous account that is not me. And I think most of the people that end up landing jobs full time as an anon have really pretty deep experience and a long tenure of building up this account on Twitter as this anonymous persona, and really becoming a main character in terms of the conversation in crypto Twitter. If you're anonymous and you don't have maybe much of a following yet, that doesn't mean that you'll never land a job, but it's probably going to be harder in the short term to be able to sell yourself. And I think that's really important as well, to have this mindset that with any opportunity that you want to land, you are going to need to sell yourself in some way, shape, or form, even if that company reaches out to you and says, and that's the best case scenario for you as a potential hiree, is to get inbound from a company that wants to interview you or wants to explore you for a role, but you're still going to need to get on an interview and sell yourself. And I think having that knowledge and that mindset is really important, because it's a long journey oftentimes. You really have to kind of work at it and hone your craft and accept feedback and accept failure and defeat sometimes, but just kind of keep going. It's unlikely to be fruitful if you take one attempt at something and and then you just give up.
Yeah, I'd say don't be shy. I get people who reach out to me through through a mutual connection, or they'll reach out to me on LinkedIn. They'll send me an email, a DM. I don't know. I don't get offended by it. I think it's, I'm thankful. So don't feel like you're bothering someone. don't hesitate taking that extra step. Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard. It's really hard to sell yourself, to put yourself out there, but it at least warrants someone taking a second look. And if that second look means that you get an interview, then I think it's worth it. And I've done it myself too, just as someone who has interviewed and trying to find a job.
Yeah. And I think like back to the point on the resume, and I know we're over time here. So if you have to go, feel free. Don't want to keep you from interviews and I'm sure a lot of other work, but one kind of point on this that I want to leave the community with, like back to the resume thing, like your digital identity is, I think, vastly more important than the piece of paper that you create trying to summarize that. And if you're looking for a marketing or social media or community job, your Twitter profile really is your resume. If you're a developer, sure, having a Twitter presence is nice. It's definitely not going to hurt, but your GitHub is your resume. And, to have the mindset of like, why would a firm, a company, a protocol, a community, a project, why would they pick me over somebody else? Think about that, reflect on it, and have it always in the back of your mind, because over time you'll be able to hone your craft and build your brand. And ultimately your Twitter account will become your resume, or your GitHub will become your resume. And maybe you don't get a job in May or June of 2025, but maybe you get a job in October or November. I spent 9 months looking for a job and really trying to get hired here at Monad Foundation. And it took a lot of iteration and experimentation and building up that resume on Twitter and through the pipeline as well. So
it goes all the way back to the conversation, and the thing that we had at the beginning is show us what you're doing. Like, go out and do something and show. Yeah.
And not just us, like ecosystem projects. Like the number of projects building on Monad right now is pretty sizable for a pre-launch blockchain. But 6 months, 12 months down the road, that number is going to 5x, 10x, 20x. I don't know. The sky is the limit. There's a lot of opportunity. We know that Monad is incredibly innovative technology. We know there is a massive user community. We know that there is no faster EVM environment to build on. And that is, going to prevail. This isn't a 1-year project, as Keone and James and Eunice and many other leaders across the Monad ecosystem always say. This is, a 5-10 year game minimum. And that's just to get Monad off the ground.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's exciting. There's a lot of opportunity. Candace, we'll have to run this back soon, because there's been a lot of great questions from the community, and undoubtedly a massive resource. I will actually ask one more question if you have the time.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It just came in from A_Aphrodite. Hey, Pipeline, can you ask Candace, what is the game changer skill in Web3 career when applying for a community manager job? Candace, is there one game changer skill that protocols are looking for in a community manager? What do you think?
That's a hard one. I feel like Bill Monday would be a better person to ask. No, there's not one that I'm thinking of. But I do feel like in some ways every community has a different flavor. So it's more about, do the qualities that you feel you represent, do you see that in this community? So I think in that way, that's helpful to kind of help build and grow the community that you want to build, and whether or not that resonates with the project or the team. So
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you the one game changer skill.
I think there is one kind of game changer skill for a community manager, but to your point, Candace, it can come across in many different ways. The skill is being a strong communicator, because that is basically the core of what community is doing. Like there's all sorts of conversations, there's all sorts of events, initiatives, happenings. And as a community manager or any leader in a community, it's imperative to be able to communicate to the members and to help facilitate strong communications amongst the members, because otherwise it's just going to get incredibly disorganized and random. But being a strong communicator doesn't have, a single, it doesn't always look the same. Like you can do you can be a strong communicator, and that can come across in many different ways. It doesn't mean you need to be the most polished writer or have the best grammar, but I think being a good communicator and working on having a lot of empathy in working with and dealing with people regardless of their circumstances is incredibly important for that role. Well, this has been awesome. Like I said, we're gonna have to run it back soon.
I think we do one more spin.
One more spin, and we'll carry. Well, I don't know why I said carry, but we'll end the stream after one more spin. Jessup, should we pick someone randomly from the chat?
So everybody just say thank you, Candace, in the chat. I'm gonna close my eyes and we will pick a random person. Whoever shows up on the stream, you're the winner. So
wait, we have to pick the person first.
So
I'm too excited.
Happens to me all the time.
I want to see some thank you, Candaces. All right, I'm gonna close my eyes.
All right, here they go.
All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's moving too fast. Kareem 9909.
Nope.
You were what?
No, doesn't count. He said spin. He didn't say thank you, Candace. See, you could have won, but you didn't follow the instructions.
Instead, he was spamming the entire time asking for rolls.
Yeah, Kareem, nope. No dice.
All right, another one. It has to say thank you, Candace. It's the only thing you should be posting. Ready? And
there's some
Ali again.
some spelling questions, but will we let it slide, Candace? Okay, we'll let it slide. This one's for
a
Ali.
double winner.
Double winner, second time this stream. That's pretty good. This one's for Ali ____1995. Candace, take it away.
Turn it slightly again. There we go.
Perfect.
We're ready.
We're ready.
A Jerry.
Oh, a Jerry. Very nice. Was that
So Ali won a date with Jivan and Small and a Jerry.
Man, that's pretty good. All in a day's work here on episode 15 of Monad in the Morning, coming at you live every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. This was an awesome show. We will see you again next week. Thanks to our special guests, Bill Monday, Port_Dev, and of course, Candace, first time appearance on Monad in the Morning. If you're looking for more Monad action, Cryptunes is live on a Twitter Spaces right now, so head over there. It is called What is Monad? They rarely talk about what Monad is, though. It's a lot of fun. Go over to Twitter, join the space with Cryptunes, and if you watched today and you made it all the way through, feel free to throw a subscribe, a follow, whatever platform you're watching on. Thank you again for joining us. Thanks for being here with us, Candace. We'll have to do it again soon. And thank you, the listeners. We will catch you next week, Thursday at 10 a.m. for all the Monad news, updates, alpha, and everything in between.
Also, at midnight, Suzuki's song comes out. So be on the lookout.